Matt Brevner for Rebel News in the Downtown Eastside of Vancouver in Oppenheimer Park, where the Vancouver Infectious Disease Centre is actually hosting a pop-up testing site for hepatitis, AIDS, and COVID in honor of International Hepatitis Day. So we're going to go check it out.
Decía ahí mi padre que estoy más bravo que un león. No vaya a sacar mi espada y atraviese el corazón. Hijo de mi corazón, por lo que acabas de hablar, antes de que salga el sol, la vida te ha de quitar.
My name is Brian Conway. I'm an infectious disease specialist. I'm the medical director of the Vancouver Infectious Disease Centre. And our society is holding this great event today for World Hepatitis Day.
Oh, it's excellent. How long have you guys been doing this for?
Oh, we've been doing this in one way or another for 10 or 12 years. But during COVID, we realized that our services were probably more necessary than ever. And we began linking up more formally with housing authorities, single-room occupancy dwellings, and really reaching out in unique ways to try and take people who are disengaged from the system and engage them in a system on their terms, on their turf, in their way, so that we can work together to improve their health.
My name is Phil Adisher, and I'm a resident of the Downtown Eastside, and I work with Dr. Brian Conway in the VIDC, Vancouver Infectious Disease Clinic, doing pop-up clinics for rapid HIV and Hep C testing, so that people can get their test results within like 5 minutes. And then we do every Friday in different SROs. And I'm a peer support worker, or peer support worker is what my title is. And as a drug addict and resident of the Downtown Eastside, they hired me to go and do some outreach with the residents.
That's great.
Yeah.
Totally is about, it's holistic. Think of people as sitting on a four-legged chair. They have medical issues, they have social issues, addiction issues, psychological issues sometimes, and unless you deal with all four legs of the chair, then the chair will fall.
Right.
So I'm trying to help you out in the way that you want today.
I don't, there's not enough housing, and we need to put them somewhere. And I think it's great that they were able to be right there out in the open and not hushed and put away out to the side, right? And I really do hope that they stand their ground and demand that our government is required to provide adequate housing for everybody, because actually homelessness is illegal. That's why the reason why they have that is because it holds our government accountable, and so we need to do that as far as I'm concerned. And fire hazard or not, I mean, there's going to be a fire hazard anywhere you go. I've seen many tents burn down in the parks when I was living there, and so I mean that's just another excuse as far as I'm concerned to push them out of eyesight,
So Phil, your thought process is being right on the corner of Main and Hastings for those occupying blocks is almost a form of protest.
Absolutely, and I think it was perfect that they did it, and I guess our Vancouver kind of dropped the ball on because they were going there and cleaning it up for like 4 times a day, and they snuck in there, and bravo to that, because now it's like right there, and people have to deal with it, and I hope that they stay.
Been a big push in the last week for the relocation yet again of the tents and the tarp structures that are now on Main and Hastings and going back and forth a few blocks each way, which previously was here and elsewhere before that. It seems like a bit of a band-aid solution. What would you do if you're in a position to help? Well, you are in a position to help, but what do you suggest we do to help the people in this community?
So let's start with the obvious. No city, none, should tolerate having tents in the middle of downtown or of any area at all. This can't be. We need to get rid of these tents. However, the solution isn't just to tear down the tents and leave people to their own devices. They are not them, they are us. We need to help them find permanent housing that will be acceptable to them, that will be dignified, that will allow them to have a place that they call their own today, tomorrow, and going into the future, and then work with them to keep this and to improve their lives. They are us, let's treat them like that.
I think really what the city should do is get a designated area, like something with grass or whatever, naturally, but get a big area like that they can go to. A designated area that they can all go to, have a couple testing sites. Like, there's enough money I'm sure. Like, look at these guys. Who's funding these guys?
Right. Yes.
Right? I'm sure somebody can open up a on-site or whatever and get a designated area for them. Probably not by the water is a good idea, but somewhere like a park like this, and just designate it for them so they can go. And if there's tents seen anywhere else in the city, just tell them you're going to either get fined hefty if you don't put your tent up there.
Right. Yeah, I think that's reasonable because it seems like people are just playing hopscotch. They're getting forced to move everything.
Yeah, that's all that's going to happen is they're just going to bob from one place to the next because that's what the police do. They herd us wherever the frick we end up.
Right.
Right. So
I was talking to some folks.
God. Get her on camera.
Oh my gosh.
Get her on camera. Yeah.
Live in East Van, baby.
Yeah.
Too late.
Yeah, that's the East Side. Like, it's Free Willy.
Let him fly.
But like, you don't see cops freaking stopping that or anything. If we were like, say, in West Van, they'd be all over her.
Yeah, no kidding. I think we spoke to some people earlier today who are living there, and they're saying that in the last 6 months or so, they've seen quite a sharp rise in violent crime, just because of merchandise and possessions being out in the open. As someone who used to live in that community, what are action steps that you think John Horgan or Mayor Kennedy Stewart could take immediately to make things easier and better for the people that are living down there?
For one, I happen to know an SRO right now that a friend of mine lives in, and she has got the whole 4th floor to herself. One room is being rented to her, and it's the Cosmo down, and this has been like this now for at least 6 months. She's lived there, and she has not had one neighbor yet. Now, going into, in my building that I live in the Woodwards building, there's a couple of rooms that are empty. There's buildings that could be very, very well used, or spaces like underneath the Georgia Viaduct could be perfect for a tent city or whatever. And I think that what they need to do is just take they're not going to fight it, they're not going to win it, because it's just going to go from there, it's going to go to there, right? And so they need to just work with it instead of fighting it so much. And we're people too. Of course. And whether I'm living inside or not, I still live in the Downtown Eastside, and I still am a resident here. And it's disgusting how people are being treated, and they're dying down there at an alarming rate. And they're just putting a Band-Aid on it and moving it along, and that's not going to work.
After being down there, we interviewed a few people who've been living down there. We're, ignorantly, from me being ignorant, I was surprised that a lot of people that were there aren't actually homeless. They were there because they want to be there, participate in the community that's there, for better or for worse. If the government does put up for housing and that opportunity, but people still aren't willing to take those opportunities, what do we do then?
Well, we need to ask them what they want before we build it. Let's not build them something and then have them not want it, and we didn't ask them what they wanted. People shouldn't have to have as their only choice to put up a tent on some street, and then have other people come and live with them because they're trying to create a sense of community. Let's create a sense of community, but one that makes sense, that's sustainable, and that is inclusive. that makes it so that we're all on the same side. It isn't the people, them, that choose to live in tents that are sort of the problem. The problem is that we haven't dealt with the underlying issues in any meaningful way, and it's time to do that now.
Thank you for your time, Doctor.
Thank you.
A lot of people, as you mentioned, and as other people have mentioned we've talked to today, are there by choice. It's not strictly a homelessness issue, even if people were provided residence.
I was homeless for 4.5 years, and probably 3 of those years I was homeless by choice, because I was doing drugs and I didn't want to pay rent and I didn't want to have any responsibility. And now, now it's different for me now, and I've got lucky. I got lucky that I had the moment of clarity came with enough power to get up and start again. And most of those people down there don't have or won't have that. It's like the opioid epidemic is taking their lives, right? I don't know. I wouldn't even know where to actually start. All I know is to stop treating us like we're animals and treat us like we're your family members, because we are somebody's family member.
So what's something that just like the regular average Vancouverite can do to help people in this community?
I guess it would start with before you judge what's going on down here, maybe come down and just talk to somebody, or ask them a couple of questions. Like, drug addicts aren't all criminals, and criminals aren't all drug addicts, and there's a ton of people down here who aren't even alcoholics, drug addicts, or criminals. They're down here because they lost their job, or they got a divorce or something like that, and or have a mental illness. Like, that's a huge one down here, mental illness. Police shot a guy in the Patricia Hotel just recently who had a mental illness, and because I worked in the Patricia, I got to see the video, and I was absolutely disgusted at the fact that that poor guy lost his life because they went in with a judgment, and shot him twice, because he had a little jackknife about this big. No riot gear, no nothing. Didn't even announce themselves. Just shot him. And that's the way it goes. And I know that the police and I know that the community gets a little scared, coming down here. It's a scary place sometimes, but most of the people down here are not there to harm anybody. There is a few bad apples in the bunch, but for the most part, they just are addicted to their drugs, and they don't want to rob you. They actually, most of the people down here, if they see somebody from the community come down here and something happens, they'll all band together and protect that person. They yell when the kids are on the block. They yell, "Kids on the block!" Those aren't people that don't care or want to hurt people. They're just people who care. They just messed up.
Yeah, and you can tell that there's a sense of pride and a sense of community when you're down there. All you have to do is be there for 5 minutes and talk to some people.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. Like, it was only 6 months ago when I got a job with Ambers Canada, which put me in working in the SROs, which saved my life, actually. And essentially it stopped me from using drugs, and I got to help people, and I got this job for Dr. Brian Conway, and I'm doing very well, and I thank God for that. And I absolutely love my life now, and I know and I have a purpose, and I just hope that other people could find that somewhere. But yeah, acceptance is the key.
Yeah,
I think that's what people need to do, is accept us as people, and turn that around. Not money,
no more money.
It really doesn't do anything. You can throw as much money at it as you want, and it's still, the problem's going to get worse, because you can't fix it with money.
Right.
I mean, so that's just my idea anyway.
That's good. So what do you think? Do you think initiatives like this one is taxpayer dollars well spent? Do you think we need more stuff like this? Do you think we need less stuff like this? Do you think it's making a difference? Let us know in the comments. Matt Brevner for Rebel News. If you appreciate that Rebel News shows up, asks the tough questions that no one else wants to ask, especially not the pesky mainstream media, support us. Go to rebelfieldreports.com and donate what you can so that we can keep bringing you reports like this one. Thanks.